Many believed he was just another ordinary guy, stripped of any real influence in a world rigged to ignore him. But the moment Marcus Harlan entered the county courthouse, equipped with nothing but facts and ironclad determination, he didn't merely defend himself. He unveiled a massive scam that left the presiding judge speechless and reshaped an entire neighborhood for good. Stick around as we break down the twist nobody anticipated. Hello, friend. What you're about to hear isn't fiction. It's living proof that quiet courage and the chase for fairness can thrive in corners most folks overlook. If this is your first visit, drop a quick note in the comments telling us where you're tuning in from. And if tales like this stir something in you, make you question, reflect, or act, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We spotlight voices that demand attention every single day. Thanks for joining us. Let's dive in. Marcus Harlan had grown up carrying the burden of unspoken words. He first felt it as a boy in his grandma's cramped kitchen in Mobile, Alabama, watching her jot numbers into a worn-out notebook under the dim glow of a lone bulb. He felt it again as a teen, hearing her soft hymns rise above the growing stack of overdue notices that boxed them in like prison walls. But the lessons sank deepest the afternoon she crumpled to the linoleum floor, clutching her heart while those unpaid bills fluttered like trapped birds. The hush that followed wasn't calm. It was the kind that claws at your gut, roaring with every injustice the universe keeps dishing out. Now, under the harsh courthouse lights in Baldwin County, Marcus wore that hush like battle armor. His borrowed suit hung loose, sleeves frayed at the edges, tie slightly crooked. Still, his hands never shook as he tucked a thick folder beneath his arm and squared his shoulders. The room already hummed with that low electric skepticism reserved for long shots facing titans. Every stare landed on him, most dripping with doubt. After all, what odds did Marcus Harlan, a man without a lawyer, without a law degree, have against a corporate legal juggernaut? Up front sat Judge Evelyn Hargrove, infamous for her short fuse and barely hidden chuckles at pro se defendants. Her reading glasses slid low as she glanced at the schedule, already bored. "Mr. Harlan," she drawled, savoring the name like a private punchline. "Handling your own case today?" Marcus locked eyes with her. "Yes, Your Honor." A faint grin tugged at Hargrove's lips. "Fine, let's move." Across the aisle lounged Victor Kane, lead counsel from one of Atlanta's fiercest property law firms. His custom suit drank in the light like it was forged from pure clout. He leaned to his paralegal, voice just loud enough. "We'll be at lunch by noon." Marcus caught every syllable. He was supposed to. It echoed the brush-offs he'd endured, mortgage reps who stonewalled him, endless hold music, eviction papers delivered like royal decrees. But he didn't blink. Let them assume he was toast before opening arguments. Truth was, Marcus had trained for this showdown for months. Late nights, decoding statutes, library marathons, free legal aid sessions, absorbing it all on pure, white-hot refusal to let his grandma's house slip away. The bailiff called order. Marcus felt the room's pressure settle on him like a heavy palm. Instead of folding, he stood taller. This wasn't only about bricks and mortar. It was about self-respect, about the silent memo that people like him were built to fold. He hadn't come to follow their playbook. He'd come to burn it. "Mr. Kane," Judge Hargrove nodded toward the polished shark. "You may begin." Kane rose, voice silk and steel. He spun tales of ironclad contracts, missed deadlines, the bank's sacred right to repossess. It was theater, each phrase a knot in the rope. Yet as he spoke, the atmosphere shifted. Not because of his words, but because of Marcus, standing silent, gaze steady, radiating calm that rattled cages. The hush was no longer surrender. It was thunder gathering miles offshore. When Kane wrapped up, Hargrove turned to Marcus, boredom edging her tone. "Mr. Harlan, your turn." Marcus stepped to the podium, voice even yet slicing clean through the room. "Your Honor." He swept a quick glance across the gallery. Smirks were morphing into curiosity. "This isn't merely a contract dispute. It's proof of a machine designed to bury voices like mine under red tape and fine print." The judge's half-smile flickered. "I will prove the foreclosure rested on doctored forms and blatant rule-breaking." Marcus unfolded his first exhibit. Signatures on the loan don't match. Ownership transfers were never logged properly. The plaintiff's actions weren't just shady, they were criminal. A wave of shock rippled outward. Even Kane's posture stiffened, his smirk freezing mid-bloom before he forced it back. This wasn't the clueless pushover he'd banked on. This was a man who'd studied the game and come loaded. Marcus kept going, voice steady as bedrock. I may lack a JD, but I've got truth, and today I'll lay it bare. The room inhaled and held it. Even Hargrove, for all her eye-rolling, leaned in, fingers no longer drumming. What started as a punchline was morphing into a heavyweight bout. Resilience versus a system that bet on the wrong fighter. And right then, as Marcus Harlan stood tall with the serene strength of someone done being erased, every soul in that chamber knew they were watching more than a title fight. They were watching Judgment Day. The room fell into wired stillness as Marcus squared up and drew a slow breath. Paper rustles and fluorescent buzz faded, replaced by thick anticipation. This was no longer routine paperwork. Something seismic was brewing, and every heartbeat felt it. Judge Hargrove eased forward, smirk gone, replaced by wary focus. She rapped her gavel once, crisp, final. Mr. Harlan, proceed. Marcus approached the lectern, steps measured, voice clear enough to cut glass. Your Honor, the foreclosure on my grandmother's house relied on incomplete files and signatures that fail every authenticity test. Murmurs swelled. Victor Kane fidgeted with his cufflinks, lips now a thin slash. His assistant whispered. Kane didn't answer. He studied Marcus like a puzzle that had just sprouted teeth. Marcus raised 2 sheets. Here are the original mortgage and a supposed amendment filed 3 months later. He walked them to the bailiff. Compare the signatures. Not just penmanship, core structure. The second could not have come from my grandmother, Ruth Harlan. The bailiff passed them up. Hargrove adjusted her glasses, frown carving deeper. Marcus pressed on. At the date of that second signature, Grandma was hospitalized, recovering from a massive stroke. She couldn't hold a pen. He slid forward another page. Notarized affidavit from Dr. Monica Reyes, her neurologist, confirms the timeline. Gasps punctuated the growing buzz. Kane bolted upright. Your Honor, this is ambush material. We've had no discovery window. Hargrove's hand sliced the air. You'll get your cross, Mr. Kane. Sit. Kane sank, jaw clenched. Marcus rolled forward. It's bigger than one fake autograph. Mortgage transfers skipped required endorsements. The chain of title is broken. The bank suing for possession never legally owned the note. Hargrove's brows knitted. Fingers drummed once, then stilled. Marcus anticipated the skepticism. I know it sounds improbable, a layperson spotting this, but I've lived in these documents for months. Every statute, every precedent, I'm ready to back every word with proof and live witnesses. Kane tried again. Objection. Pure theater from an unqualified... Sit down. Hargrove's tone carried new steel, aimed not at Marcus. The room leaned in, hooked. Marcus's cool precision was shredding the script Kane's firm had rehearsed. I'd like to call a witness, Marcus said. Words landing like a mallet. Kane paled, whispering frantically to his team. Hargrove motioned the bailiff. The rear door swung open. In walked Carla Benson, the notary public tied to the suspect amendment. Mid-40s, navy blazer, hands trembling as she took the stand. Marcus approached, tone courteous but firm. Ms. Benson, did you notarize a mortgage change for Ruth Harlan? She glanced at Kane's table, swallowed. Yes. Were you present when she signed? A beat? No, a bank rep handed me the finished page and said it was already executed. The gallery erupted in hushed shock. Kane surged up. Objection. Hearsay. Overruled, Hargrove snapped. Continue. Marcus nodded gratitude. Did you verify the signature before stamping? I was told it was standard procedure. I didn't check. The buzz crescendoed. Marcus faced the bench. Your Honor, this proves not just invalid ink, but a foreclosure built on fraud. I move for full discovery and immediate stay of eviction. Hargrove studied the documents, face unreadable. Then, discovery granted. Foreclosure stayed until further notice. Marcus felt the first brick crumble from the wall he'd been slamming for months. Not victory, breach. The underdog had drawn first blood. Dawn barely kissed the sky when Marcus sat alone at his scarred kitchen table, nursing black coffee that tasted like resolve. Yesterday replayed in high def, the notary's confession, the judge's order. It wasn't a fluke. It was the corner of a much uglier picture. With discovery unlocked, internal bank files spilled onto his table, emails, memos, transfer logs. Cross-referencing dates and names, patterns surfaced like oil on water. Forged docs, vanished endorsements, families evicted by the dozen. The bank wasn't sloppy. It was predatory, banking on silence. By noon, Marcus met Carla Benson in a corner diner, steam curling from their cups. Her fingers shook around the mug. "They said it was just paperwork," she whispered, guilt raw. "Paperwork doesn't make it right," Marcus replied, voice low. "But you can still choose right, testify, detail every instruction. Name anyone else they pressured." She hesitated, then nodded. "I will." Back home, Marcus wove the threads, timeline, whistleblowers, victim statements, into a noose. He cold-called reporter Jasmine Reed, known for torching corrupt institutions. They met in a library annex, fluorescent lights humming. Jasmine's pen flew as Marcus laid out the map of deceit. "This isn't one bad apple," he said. "It's orchard-wide rot." "I'll chase it," she replied. "But you need bodies, not just paper." Already lining them up. Scared, but done hiding. Days blurred, secret meetups, burner phone interviews, Jasmine's articles dropping like grenades. Legal probes whispered in hallways. Strangers texted Marcus, their own horror stories ready to speak. Momentum wasn't enough. Marcus needed Kane to feel the ground shake. He requested a settlement conference. Kane strode in, bristling. "You've got noise and photocopies," he sneered. Marcus slid a folder across. "I've got signed directives from you to bury transfer gaps. Whistleblower video, victim affidavits. Truth, Mr. Kane." Kane's tan drained to ash. "Bluff." "See you in court," Marcus said, ice calm. "No lunch break this time." He left Kane sweating in the glass box. The lone voice had become a chorus. Return day at the courthouse felt like a vigil. Reporters packed benches. Neighbors lined walls, eyes bright with borrowed courage. Judge Malcolm Pierce now presided. Files had snowballed into his chambers like an avalanche. He knew this wasn't about one deed anymore. Kane's team clutched papers like flimsy umbrellas in a hurricane. Marcus rose. "Your Honor, this is systemic plunder, forged ink, ghost transfers, coerced stamps. But behind the legalese are people." He gestured to the gallery. Families, kids, faces etched with loss and hope. Pierce's gaze swept them, lingered. Kane's junior counsel stood. Circumstantial claims from bitter losers. Marcus handed over a smoking gun, internal email chain, Kane's digital signature, ordering expedited closures, skip endorsements where needed. Pierce scanned it, lips thinning. Marcus kept rolling, ex-employee oaths, recorded confessions, a ledger of theft. Pierce leaned in. "This transcends technicalities. Full investigation authorized. All related foreclosures frozen." The room exhaled as one. Marcus felt gravity loosen its grip. Not the end, but the hinge the door swung on. Outside, autumn sun painted the steps gold. A woman clasped his hand, voice trembling. "You spoke for us," Marcus smiled, gentle. "We're just getting started. Together." Weeks later, Marcus stood on his grandma's sagging porch, paint peeling like old battle scars. Inside, sunlight filtered through lace, dust motes twinkling. Grandma Ruth rocked slowly, eyes shining. "You didn't just save the house, baby. You saved souls," he knelt. "Couldn't let them take our name with the deed." Soon, community meetings filled the library, timid voices growing bold. Workshops taught mortgage literacy, red flag spotting, court navigation. Marcus's war became curriculum. He spoke at colleges, union halls, anywhere ears would listen, raw, honest, urging preparation over rage. One morning at Auburn University, a student pressed a notebook into his hands. "Your fight gave me mine." Marcus signed it. "Then write the next chapter loud." Media faded. The coalition didn't. Partnerships bloomed, resources flowed, families reclaimed homes. At dusk, Marcus rocked on that same porch, neighborhood laughter drifting like smoke. Battles loomed. But the underestimated man had become the architect. Marcus Harlan's saga proves one ignited spark can burn down empires of indifference. From a lone stand against eviction to a movement restoring dignity block by block, he showed that justice isn't handed down. It's built, brick by stubborn brick. If this lit something in you, subscribe. We keep these fires burning, one story at a time. The next page is blank. Let's fill it.